Alright, ladies and gentlemen, today's lesson is on section 2.4, equation of a circle. And right away, I'm just going to give you the equation of the circle so that you will be able to see it, and then we'll figure out how it works kind of later on. So the equation of the circle is x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. And you can think about which value is actually going to be replaced in this equation as opposed to maybe the other ones. Alright, let's go and see what happens. So we're looking at a graph of a circle, and you can see that I have x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared on the website itself, and you'll see that I've made r is equal to 5. Now, if I make r is equal to 5, let's just take a look and see if I've got this circle, and if you guys can take a look, you can notice that the origin, or the 0, 0, is actually the center of the circle. And let's take a look. If I just kind of move over, what do you notice about the radius? Where does it go to? That's right. It actually goes out to 5, right? It goes out to 5 in all different ways. Now, I'm going to try and change the radius of this circle again. And we'll see if this works. I'm going to change it to 6. Now you guys can take a look at it. And then you can see what happened as I changed the r value to 6. Again, you can take a look and you can see, boom, the radius is now changed all the way to 6. But then what does that mean with respect to our circle? What does that mean with respect to our equation? Well, we know that x squared and y squared, or x and y, we don't change those, right? Because we know that they are always on different points. It's like the blueprint. So there's going to be different x and y points that are going to be used. So we never actually have a value for the x and y. But we do have a value for the r. And the r, as you can now see, represents our radius. So in this situation, my equation is going to be x squared, and I'm going to try and write it somewhere around here, x squared plus y squared is equal to, and in this situation, it is going to be 6 squared. And so I'm not going to leave it as that. I'm going to leave it as x squared plus y squared is equal to 36. All right? And that's it. There's the equation of your circle. Now, the very, very important thing to know, though, is that this equation, x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared, is super important because it's when the center of the circle is at the origin, okay? When it's at the origin. That is the key. All right, so let's take a look at a question to work on. All right, so here I have to find an equation of a circle which is centered at the origin and has a radius of 7. So this is actually going to be very, very simple, and let's take a look at what we have to do. Essentially, I have x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared, and we now know that the r represents our radius. So radius is 7. So all I'm going to just do is I'm going to plug in x squared plus y squared is equal to 7 squared, and finish it off as x squared plus y squared is equal to 49. All right? And that's it. That's all that this is. That's all that we need to do. And there's our equation of the circle. So what does that look like for us on a graph? So let me pull it up so that we can see what happens on the graph. And here it is. X squared plus y squared is equal to 49. And if you take a look, from here to here, the radius is 7. 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 And if we were to check our math anywhere else, from here to here, that would be 7. From here to here, that would be 7. From here to here, that would be 7. So let me ask you guys a question. From here to here, what would it be? That's right, 7. Okay, and that's it. That's what this equation is. So let's take a look now at another example. Okay, so this question, we need to determine the equation for a circle which passes through point 3, 4. So we're actually looking for a circle that passes through the point 3, 4. So I'm just going to actually mark 3, 4 on my graph. Okay. I guess the other thing that we need to also include in this question, is that the circle is centered at the origin. Okay, that is absolutely important because of the equation that we are going to be using. So if it's centered at the origin, let's figure out if it is and we'll call that number 1 because we have a second thing we're going to be talking about in a minute. So let's just see what happens and what the equation is. Very, very, very simple. So I know that it's going to start at 0, 0. So I know that this has to essentially be my radius. And how do we find our radius? Well, we know that x squared plus y squared is equal to my radius squared. So in order for me to find out this equation, I'm just going to plug in my x and my y. That's the points that I have that are going to be on this circle. And I know that from the origin to this point, it's going to be the radius because it'll be the same everywhere else. So let's just plug it in and see what happens. So we've got 3 squared plus 4 squared is equal to r squared. So we get 9 plus 16 is equal to r squared. So I get r squared is equal to 25. So that's good enough at the moment for us to find out this equation. So I know at this moment my equation is x squared plus y squared is equal to 25. And that is my answer. That is the equation. Okay, x squared plus y squared is equal to 25. And what's the radius? Well, I know the radius then is going to be equal to 5, or the square root of 25, right? And there we go. So now I know that this circle has a radius of 5. So if I wanted to continue drawing a few points, I'll draw the points that are really easy from here to here. There's 5, so I'm going to put 5 there. I know I can go 5 there. The easiest way, this is the easiest way for me to draw a few points. And if I were to draw this circle, and forgive me, I'm going to actually try and put something on here, so give me a second. So I put a little circle here. It's made just a little small, but you can see that if I were to extend it just a little bit more, it would actually fit every single point that we put on this graph. So that's it. This is the equation of the circle. Okay, x squared plus y squared is equal to 25. And if I was to ask you what is the radius of this circle, you would say that the radius is 5, okay? And we can completely see it because if we were to go over, this would be 5, 5, 5, 5. So now the other question that is being asked is, does the point 1, 5 lie on the circle? Now, if I were to, right away, I can take a look right away, and I know you cannot see it, but I know that 1 is right there. So if I were to go, and here's 1, 5, which is right about here, okay? Now, 1, 5 will not lie on the circle. But if we were to prove this, how would we do that? Well, I guess if we can prove that from the center of our circle to here, the radius has to be bigger. The radius has to be bigger than than the radius of the actual circle. So it has to be bigger than 5. And if it is, that way I know it is going to be, this point will not lie on the circle. So we're just going to do the math. We'll just do the math right over here on the side. All right. So I'm just going to plug in our x squared plus y squared equals r squared. 1 squared plus 5 squared is equal to r squared. So we've got 1 plus 25 is equal to r squared. And r squared is equal to 26. So right away I can see that this number here, I can see that 26, r squared equal to 26 is bigger than the one that we had over here where r squared is 25. So if I were to anyways take the square root, right, so if I wanted to simplify it, so r is equal to the square root of 26, the answer is just approximately 5.1, okay, it's approximately 5.1. So again, the radius is bigger than the radius from the original equation, so therefore we know, so therefore 0.15 does not lie on the circle. Okay, and that's it. That's all we have for today. Just remember, our equation of the circle centered at the origin is x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. The r represents the radius, okay, and is the only number that actually gets replaced, okay? So it could be x squared plus y squared is equal to 100, all right? Which the radius is 10, exactly, all right? X squared plus y squared is equal to 64, right? And in this situation, our radius is 8, okay? So that's it for this video for today. I tried the questions that are given to you, and I'll see you guys later. Take care.